And welcome to another season of Coach's Corner Year 2 here on ColumbusNewsTeam.com. With me is head coach Kurt Frenzen for the Lakeview Vikings. Kurt, I know this has been a day you've been waiting for a very long time, to get back in the studio, see me, and chat some football. Is it like your birthday?
Yeah, you bet. We're always excited to get away from school a little bit and talk football. So anytime we can spend our valuable time doing that, it seems like it's meant to be. So we're excited to get going with this season and of Coach's Corner and talk football about our kids and talk how they're doing good and the good work that they're doing out on the field.
Well, we're glad you're here. 15th year for the Vikings. You've been at the helm, and talk about this 2015 season you had coming in. You returned some starters from last year. You were in a better position than the year before, where you didn't return many at all, and you took on Wilbur Claytonia, you hosted them, and then just got off a game against Boone Central Newman Grove. How are you feeling after your first two games of the season?
Well, the first game of the year, we felt like we could go in if we executed on offense, played solid defense. We felt like we could get that win out of the gate. Our defense really showed up and had a great, as a whole, the whole night was really good. I felt like they came to play, and especially in the interior. I thought our defensive tackles, Noah Duncan and Zach Kobza, did a great job. Our linebackers really flew to the ball as well, and we made them earn every yard they got that night. Unfortunately, we just didn't have a big night on offense. Our offense just wasn't clicking, and the timing wasn't there. And in the first half, we just couldn't get in a groove. In the second half, when we did get in a groove, we had some drop passes a little bit. So our offensive line just was still kind of working out the kinks. And so I think we had 20-some pass plays. And out of those, we had a bunch of incompletions that night. And you can go back to the film, and the offensive line was directly responsible for about a third of those. The receivers are directly responsible for about a third, and then our quarterback for about a third. So everybody had a hand in how we were inept that night and throwing the football. And then running the football, we had some bright moments. Unfortunately, we got down. We had to get away from the running game a little bit and go to the air a little bit more. It was a 14-6 ball game at half, and then through the third quarter, and then they were able to put a score up. But I felt all the way through the game we had a chance to win. It just wasn't meant to be. But Wilbur's a good football team, and we learned a lot about ourselves that night, and we thought moving forward that if we can learn from that game and get some things worked out, that we're going to be on in a good position moving forward to be successful.
And speaking of good football teams, not a lot of time for rest. You turn around week 2, defending Class C1 champions Boone Central Newman Grove. You guys travel up to Albion and take on the Cardinals.
We knew we had our hands full. They're size-wise, they're really similar to what Wilbur is. And then speed-wise, actually, they have a little bit more speed. But we did some good things defensively. As you can see, we were able to get them slowed down quite a bit. Trey Shanks had a nice play there. Just as you look at the clips, you can see that we were getting into people most of the time. Where we had some breakdowns would be when we have one-on-one matchups once in a while. So they would get shook loose here and there. Dakota Prorock had a big night for us. There's one of his 2 interceptions he had on the evening. And then we were able to get some running game going at different times too. We put up 450 some yards against Boone Central, so that's nothing to be ashamed of by any means. And we felt like we had some good things going offensively. Defensively, though, we just gave up way too many big plays, and we had 450, but they had 520 some yards of total offense. So if we could have just settled in and probably shut down the big play, that would have been a lot better game in the fourth quarter. We did cut the lead to 32-20, and that's the way the third quarter ended. And then we got into the fourth and just weren't able to get things done. Isaac Dreyfus did a really great job for us that night. Had a big catch at the end of the first half, and then came back and got some 50-50 balls for us in the second half. And then Dylan just had a big night. Rushing the football was a little bit under 100, and then throwing the football, I think he was 14 for 16 for like 236 or something. So he just found a groove offensively, and I feel like if we could have did those things week 1, we'd probably be 1-1 right now instead of 0-2. But again, Isaac doing a great job, or excuse me, that's Dakota going up and doing a great job on another interception that he had in the second half. And then we come back and we're able to shake loose Trent Roth on a hitch and go, just a double move play, and then Trent did a nice job holding on to the football as well. So we had a lot of big plays there in the second half, and I really felt good about the direction our offense was going. But it seems like, we were scrapping with them, clawing and trying to get back in the game. And once we would get within a couple scores, Boone would always have an answer. And unfortunately for us, it's kind of the story of the night, and we fell to 0-2. But a lot of good positives we can take away from the game. And if we can just combine first week with our great defense, combine the second week with our really good offense, I feel like things are where we want to be at, and that's going to be the key against Kearney Catholic. And then we've had some explosive plays out of our special teams as well. Chase Lindbergh's been a guy that's been a nice ball player for us in the return game and had a big kick return for us against Wilbur-Claytonia. So if we can combine all three of those things, we should have a good chance of winning this Friday.
Seems like the magic formula, again, just looking at the good things when you only scored 7 against Wilbur-Claytonia, and then just in a week's time, facing a very good Cardinals team and are able to put up those 31 points, or 31 was it?
Yeah, with over 30 points, and then the biggest thing was, your total yardage, where we had 450 yards of offense against them. And like I said earlier, I told a couple people, we had about 400 yards before we both kind of started putting in twos. So even if you took that last 50 away that we got against their twos, our twos got against their twos, it was still at 400. So you got to feel good about where we're at there. We got to cut out the turnovers. We got to cut out the missed assignments. We're a good football team, but we're not good enough to overcome mistakes like turnovers and missed assignments. It's going to be important for us moving forward that we get those things worked out. And we haven't won the turnover battle yet. We've been -1 in both games. And again, we're a good football team, but we're not good enough to overcome being negative in the turnover ratio.
Well, you said looking forward to Friday and Kearney Catholic, a team that made it to the semifinals last year. What do you expect to see from the Stars, and obviously the game plan besides minimizing turnovers and bringing together a full game on all three facets? What do you expect to see from them?
Well, Kearney Catholic came in the season ranked like 4th or 5th, depending on which poll. They got upset last week by Ogallala. Ogallala's 2-0. They've allowed a decent number of points through their first 2 games. And offensively, they've been able to move the ball in the first 2 games, and their offense has pretty much won the first game for them, and then the second game kept them in it. But we're going to need to execute on offense and sustain some drives. Last year, I think that was one of the positives. We had 8 and 10 play drives against them a couple different times, and we're going to need to do that more than just a couple. We're going to need that throughout the night. Skill-wise, they've got a nice running back who gets north and south right now, and they have 2 quarterbacks they rotate in, and both of them bring really good tools in their toolbox out on the field. They do a great job with what they have there. Kearney Catholic's still ranked at number 10, so we got a ranked opponent coming. So, we started off with Wilbur, who's now ranked in the top 10, and then they're 7, and Boone's 7 or 8, whatever they are, depending on the poll, and then Kearney Catholic number 10. So this is our 3rd week in a row of a ranked opponent. We're just excited to have them at home, and it's a big night for us also because it's our Hall of Fame game. We have our first inaugural class of Lakeview Hall of Fame out there on Friday night, so that'll be a big night for our alumni as well. And we're excited to have all those people back and see that game as well.
Well, Coach, we're wishing you the best of luck. You have that gauntlet to start the season, 1, 2, 3, but pulling for you to grab a win against those guys.
Well, if we can come out of there with a win on Friday night, you got to feel good about the position we're in moving forward. If we can get the 1 and 2 after playing 3 top 10 teams and then going into the rest of our schedule, you got to be excited about what the future holds for the rest of our season. And again, if we can just combine the first 2 weeks' opponents, I feel good that we can come away with a win. It's not going to be easy. They're not going to show up and give it to us, but if we can get out there and execute to our ability, we feel like we got a great chance to walk out the field pretty happy Friday night.
Kurt Frenzen, thank you as always for stopping in. We look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Look forward to talking to you hopefully after a win.
I have a feeling it will be. I'm Brandon Axpet with this one. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with Scotus and head coach Tyler Linder coming up next on Coach's Corner. And welcome back to Coach's Corner here on ColumbusNewsTeam.com for our second segment, but our first appearance on year 2 of Coach's Corner is head coach Tyler Linder with the Scotus Shamrocks. Coach Linder, how's it feel to be back talking football in the Columbus News Team studio?
Feels great. I'm very excited about the season. It's it came around pretty quick. The summers seemed to fly by, but this is the best time of year, so we're happy to be here.
And you've had a great start, currently sitting at 2-0, knocking off 2 defending champions in Class C1 and Class C2 with Boone Central, Newman Grove, and Aquinas Catholic. We'll get into that shortly, but just for those who maybe are tuning in for the first time or hearing about the Scotus program, obviously give them an overview. You returned a lot of guys from last year, and you have a very strong group with some serious aspirations.
Yeah, I think we've got a great nucleus of guys and a phenomenal coaching staff, and that always makes things a lot easier when you roll over a large portion of your roster from the year before and you maintain the same coaching staff. We didn't have any changes there, and so not only our players but our coaches are really well versed in what we do in every aspect of the game, and so. Again, we're a very talented football team, but there's certain things that we need to do to make ourselves better and compete for those long-term goals. So, we had to get back to work this week and make sure that we're in line with our overall goal.
Well, you started off week 1 against Boone Central Newman Grove, defending Class C1 champions, and I did a little bit of background history work, and they beat you 31-14 last year. Went on to win state. You beat them 31-14 this year. Maybe a little bit of foreshadowing, if you will. Is that looking a little too deep into it? But it was a good game nonetheless, one we broadcasted, and an exciting one.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. After a really tough battle against Boone Central, my dad came up to me right after the game. He met up with me, and that's exactly what he said. He goes, they won a title and they beat you 31-14. So, it's something that I had, I've thought about, but that might be more coincidence than anything. So. Just really proud of the effort our guys showed in week 1. They're a very, very talented team. Anytime that you're a defending state champion, you have confidence, and those kids know what it's like to be in big games. Even though they lost some very talented kids from the year before, they're going to be just fine. They're under new direction with Coach Hudson now, and he's got them in great shape. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see them again later on in the playoffs. They're a very talented team and one that. We'd have to prepare for again, and go after them. So, we're very excited to start off, week 1 with a victory over a very quality team.
And then you didn't have any break. Turn right around week 2, rivalry week, defending Class C2 champion and rivals in David City Aquinas. You had them at home, and that was a closer game. We broadcast that one as well. Your thoughts on the 10-6 victory as we'll take a look at some highlights here.
We had to play a great game in order to come out with a victory. We made some mistakes. We had about 100 yards in penalties, but we showed some nice things and a lot of resiliency. So I'm very proud of our guys' effort.
And taking a look at it here, you had some good defensive stops. A great back that Aquinas had in Napier there. He broke open for a couple plays, but overall defensively, when you only give up 6 points to a team like that, how do you feel?
We feel pretty good about it. Again, there's certain things that we have to clean up, but I think we kept a very talented Aquinas backfield in check. The McGuire kid, the Pellon kid, and the Napier kid, among others, they're a very, very good ball club, and they're going to go a long way. If I had to predict now, I bet, this Aquinas team repeats as another state champion. I think they're that talented of a team. And you see, Lane Napier right here, he's a very talented guy and can make a good defense like ours, look bad at times. And that was right before the half, so they had a lot of momentum going in, but we were able to miss the extra point, and we let it half 7-6.
And then obviously Dalton Taylor, a replay we showed earlier, you don't throw too much, but he had 3 receptions, a big touchdown. There's Brady Prisma showing he could run as well. And this is, again, towards the end of the game where they're trying to get back into things. It's 10-6 at this point.
Yeah, there was no room for relaxation last Friday. They're a great team again, and I think guys like Dalton Taylor and Cole Harrington and Brady, we had to have big players step up at big moments, and I think our offensive line did a great job. Our D line did some nice things, but ultimately it was a battle of who had the better defense, and I think our guys played a very disciplined game, and when you hold a great team to just 6 points, you've done something correct.
Towards the end of the game there, as you guys are attempting to run out the clock, Tanner Spenceri, a player who went down in the game, but good news that he's going to be all right.
Yeah, he's going to be fine. Anytime you see one of your starters go down, you automatically think the worst. But he called me at about 9 o'clock Saturday morning after he had our medical team evaluate him, and he had great news for us. So we're really excited about the news that he got. We're going to hold him out another week just to make sure that he's healthy and ready to go. But Tanner's itching to get back in it.
And you talked about defense and how that stepped up and made the game happen in a win. There was a couple plays on there. You had Cole Harrington, who I think it was Pellon, who broke free and basically a game-saving tackle potentially, and also the big hit by Marcus Dodson, which forced that fumble, which helped seal things for you guys.
Yeah, Coach K, our special teams coordinator, has kind of a motto, and it's big time players have to make big time plays in big time games, and those guys stepped up. Marcus Dodson, coming in with a great form tackle on Napier, forced a turnover late in the game, and Anthony Cush fell on it, and so we were very fortunate to end up on top of the Scotus Aquinas rivalry.
With that game over now, you're 2-0, so you're just having a very good start to the season against quality opponents. I guess if you would say you would have a week off, even though there's no weeks off, you have Central City, the least hardest caliber team, with Pierce also on the horizon, a team that likes to air it out. So what do you expect to see from Central City traveling up there?
They're a very good football program. Coach Hubert's been there for a couple of years now, and he's really got those kids, running his system very well. They've got the Mitch Carlson kid, who, in my opinion, is one of the premier quarterbacks in Class, C1. He throws the ball extremely well, and he's got some talented guys that can run underneath of it. So it's gonna be we have to play a very sound defensive game in order to come out with a victory. But I really do believe this game will come down to whose offense finds a groove first. And I think with our style of offense, we're going to be able to control the clock, and we're going to run right at them and force them to make big plays on defense. And our defense always lives by the principle of you can bend but you can't break. And so I'm very, very proud to say that we don't give up a lot of points. The yardage might be there for the other team, but points aren't. And so that's really all that matters for us.
I was going to kind of ask you how you felt your defense matched up. Last year, I believe it was a 42-0, a shutout win for you guys. Central City is more experienced now, and they're a complete opposite from Aquinas last week, where they run it and pound the ball, and these guys, like you said, have a quarterback that can air it out and do the aerial assault.
Yeah, we have to have great play from our secondary. There's no doubt about it. We put it on their shoulders this week and said, if we're going to have a successful game against a very talented Central City team, you guys have to step up. And so our secondary is going to mix up some coverages. We play mainly man-to-man, but we'll throw zone in there just to keep Carlson honest with his reads. And so those guys know that it relies on, there's games we have that rely on great offensive line play or great defensive line play, but this is really going to be a battle of the skill positions. Can our defense shut down their very talented, air attack? And that, when you read in the paper on Saturday morning, the headline will say it all. Did our defense show up, or did their offense show up? And so I'm excited to read that paper.
And you're running, are you running more four-back defensive sets now? I noticed Lavelle was getting in there in the game a little bit last year.
We do a couple of different things, and depending on the offense and also situation. We will sometimes throw a two-high safety look in there. Most of the time, we're a one-high safety because we think that our corners can lock up really well. But we'll pepper it in, here and there. So especially in down and distance, if it's third and upwards of 10, we'll throw two safeties in there just to give us a little bit of help underneath, over the top, and we can be aggressive underneath. So and that's huge. I think those guys have gained my trust as a defensive coordinator, that I'm willing to pull a talented linebacker out in order to put a little bit of an inexperienced secondary guy in. So I'm very enthusiastic about our group of secondary guys, as well as everybody who showed up on defense.
All right, Coach. Well, appreciate you sharing the insight. Looking forward to a good game for you guys, and hopefully be moving on to 3-0 after you travel to Central City.
If we do everything right and we take care of us, I think that will be an attainable goal.
Well, that's head coach Tyler Linder with the Scotus Shamrocks. They're going on to take Central City this Friday. We're going to be back for our third segment of Coach's Corner, where we'll hear from Craig Williams and the Columbus Discoverers right after this. And welcome to the third and final segment on this week's edition of Coach's Corner. With me is, for his 10th year, Columbus head coach Craig Williams. Coach, how's it feel being back for year 2 of Coach's Corner?
Well, it's a great opportunity to come and talk to you guys and share a little bit about our program to the community.
Well, we're glad you're here. 10th season, as we've mentioned, and 0-2, a rough start to start things, but it's something you may have known would happen with a young team and playing good opposition. Just how are you feeling after taking on North Platte and Norfolk, both away games? Not an easy way to start things off.
Well, the focus this year for us has been on us. We're trying to compete every week, but get better every week. And every day in practice, we challenge the kids to get better. We break the games down into half. At halftime, we say, are we a better football team than we started this football game? After the game, we say the same thing. So that's really what we have to focus on right now is getting our guys better day in and day out and helping them grow and mature as quickly as they can. Because when that happens, when they figure out how good they can be, we're going to have some success.
And this is something that I've talked with you about before, but for those who maybe haven't seen yet or know really what the Discover team is looking like this year, a small senior class, so you have a bunch of sophomores and juniors that you're kind of grooming and getting that varsity game time because you have such a large group in those younger class ages.
Yeah, and that's always a challenge, when you do have a smaller senior class, and we graduated a big senior class last year, so we had 18 new starters on the field for that game one out at North Platte, and trying to get those kids experience at the varsity level when they have to be out there because there's nobody in front of them, and we're not putting them in as a sub or as a backup. It's challenging because there's times they're going to make mistakes, and you just hope the opponent doesn't see it and take advantage of it. Unfortunately, it has happened a couple times, and we just have to work with the kids and keep coaching every single play, and point the mistakes out on film and move past it.
And so you went to North Platte, obviously a tough road trip up there, and fell 0-1, and then turned around against then number 10 Norfolk, a rivalry game battling for the Maroon Cup. We're going to take a look at the highlights here and just sort of recap what happened. A game where you guys played very well, specifically in the first half against a very challenging Panthers team.
Yeah, we did take a big step forward from week 1 to week 2, and we were happy with our kids coming out, and especially this drive here. We actually converted a 4th down play right there, which was huge for us, gaining confidence and putting it out there for the kids to go out and make a play for us. So that was a very big play, and to continue this drive. And then Landon Broderick has been playing it really, really well this year. He's having a heck of a season, making good decisions for us. He's a good runner. He throws the ball very well. We got to get that shored up a little bit and get him more explosive in that area. But he reminds me a lot of Spencer Humphrey last year. And this is the type of thing that we have to eliminate. We got some young kids out there, in the secondary and all across the defense that we've gotten beat a few times, and we've got to clean those things up and not make those mental mistakes. Norfolk has a very, very good defense, and we had a challenge, and at times we rose to that challenge, and at times we didn't. We got a punt blocked right there. We had a blown assignment, and then right before halftime, right here, we get an interception, and actually have a nice drive right before halftime. We just can't punch it in, and we would have had that thing down to 20-14 with us getting the ball to start the second half. They come out in the second half then, and they have this big play. And those are the types of things that you got to bring the intensity every single play, every single drive, every single snap, and our kids are trying to learn that. So, it's something that we've got to continue to work on as we move forward in the season.
Finally showed this last play here again, a moral victory, but you did get on the board with Wyatt Alcott there, going all the way to the touchdown, 60-plus yards. A player, I told you before, he doesn't look like he's that fast, but he ends up outrunning the field and gets that little stiff arm in there as well.
Yeah, he's a big kid. He started his career as a quarterback as a freshman. We actually moved him to tight end for a couple of years because he did get so big. And last year he came up to me and said, "Coach, I want to try out some tailback." I said, "All right, we got some good ones back there." But he's a powerful kid, and he's still learning that position. He's only been playing it for less than a year now. He's been playing tailback, but he brings a physicality to the offense that he's very tough to bring down, and we've learned to trust him a little bit back there, and the more we trust him, the more he's going to get the ball.
You mentioned his physicality, something I just wanted to touch on. We interviewed Coach Olson, the Norfolk head coach, at halftime and post-game, and at halftime he was very disappointed in his team and very complimentary of what you guys were doing. Like you said, you could have been up 20-7 or 20-14 at that point, and just I guess that's a testament to you and your players, where he said, Columbus is always going to be a tough game. They're physical players, they're hard players, and he did mention they're just a little bit young, but that is encouraging, moving forward against a top 10 team in Class A to get that sort of compliment.
Yeah, coming back from the North Platte game, going into the Norfolk game, we felt like physically we were in the game the entire night. We felt like there were some big hits in that football game, and most of them were coming from our side. We go up to Norfolk, and it was much the same thing. You know, they're a team that's going to win 7, 8 games this year. And physically, we felt like we were in that football game. We just had some mental breakdowns and a couple physical breakdowns, which we can live with those. But, you know, if we clean those things up physically, we are where we need to be to compete with these teams and to win some football games.
So is that, I guess, something you preach in practice, or how do you instill that, hey, be physical, be the one who's doing the hitting? I mean, every coach wants his team and players to do that, but not every team does.
Well, to be honest with you, we got a group of kids that want to be physical, and, you know, we just have to preach, and we've got to teach them how to practice every single day, how to play every snap to 100% every day. Those are the things we're working on right now. And when we line up to do a hitting drill, there's no telling them, hey, we got to go after it, we got to get physical here. I mean, they get after each other. They just have to carry that over into every other drill that we do and every play on the field.
And looking forward to on the field now this Friday, looking ahead, Northeast, a team that's 1-1, a team that last year is where you guys grabbed your first win. Hopefully, if history repeats itself, you will get in the win column again. What do you expect to see from the Rockets, and what do they bring Friday?
Well, you know, they've had 2 different types of games. The first game, you know, they played a decent team in Lincoln High and actually lost that game. They made mistakes down the stretch that, as you watch the film, you kind of wonder how they ended up not winning that football game. Then they go into week 2 and go into Omaha and play Omaha Bryan, and basically that was their game from the start. You know, they won that game 56-0, and you know, Bryan really was never in it. So they look very good in week 2, and so I think that we need to just, again, concentrate on what we do, improve on what we do, and take our game plan in and execute our game plan as well as we can, and then I think we'll be fine. And, you know, we'll bring the physicality to the game. It's going to be exciting being home for the first time and having the Hall of Fame banquet there and a lot of alumni back to watch this football game. It's going to be a very big crowd. So it's going to be an exciting moment for us to come out on that field, and we're really looking forward to getting back in the home stadium.
Sort of wrapping things up, is there any sort of, you play up obviously playing for the alumni and the Hall of Famers and all that. Do you have to help them kind of gauge their emotions or keep their emotions calm when you go into this first home game of the season? You
know, they're high school kids. I don't know if you can really control the emotions, but you know, it's something we preach every day, that you gotta survive that first 5 minutes and not lose your head. And to be honest, I think that's what happened out at North Platte. We kind of lost our head. We got caught up in the emotions and lost some of our assignments and our responsibilities, but we learned from it. So it's going to be interesting to see, as exciting as it's going to be to take that field at home for the first time. Can we keep our head? Can we focus on our assignments and our responsibilities and execute from the opening play and not wait until, you know, the end of the first quarter, beginning of the second quarter?
Well, we'll be very much looking forward to see what plays out on Friday. Again, ColumbusNewsTeam.com. We'll be broadcasting live on our website, something we always enjoy doing, and so it's going to be fun under the Friday night lights for you, hoping you guys will get a win.
All right, thanks for all your coverage.
We're glad to do it, and thank you for watching Columbus News Team's Coach's Corner here on Columbus News Team. I'm Brandon Axmith. That wraps up this edition. Be sure to check our live stream out on Friday night. Coverage begins at 6:45. Columbus will be taking on Lincoln Northeast, getting that first win of the season. It's going to be a great game. Hall of Famers and alumni going to be in attendance. Again, I'm Brandon Axmith. Thank you so much for watching.